Hello again, everyone. This is Jan Monahan for Wrapping with Jan. I hope everyone had a good Christmas, and I hope everybody's looking forward to a good new year. I did not get my kit this month until December 20th, and by then I was up to my elbows in Christmas and wrapping paper and ribbon and cooking and things like that. So this had to wait until after Christmas Day, and I apologize for that, but life happens. This kit is all about Mother Earth, and or Mother Nature. I guess it would be Mother Earth. It came with some twine here, and I think this is hemp twine, and we'll be using that later on in the video. But right now, there are plenty of images to take a look at. I was especially taken with Mother Earth herself and how detailed she was, and everything from her hair clear down to the end of her outfit there. Lots and lots of detail. And of course there's the earth, and see if we can get this off. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I thought this was a cute image here with Mother Earth passing the care of our earth into the human hand. And here are all the dies, and I'm very thankful, especially with this kit, for the dies. I would not want a fussy cut all around Mother Earth there. She's got quite an outfit on, and it would take some time, so thank goodness for the dies. Let's take a look at this. We've got, of course, Mother Earth and Protect the Earth, and the human hands in which she is entrusting her creation. And there's a lot of interesting verbiage here, you know, wishing you an abundance, happiness, abundance of happiness, and protect the earth. And there she's cradling her hands that allow her to hold the earth and the fish and the peace sign and whatever else comes to mind. But okay, let's put all this aside and take a look at some of the goodies that came with the kit. I was intrigued with the glitter. I did not know until recently that glitter does not degrade and it is bad for the environment. Of course, we have the ink, lots of colors, lots of earthy colors. And this is a reactive ink, and we'll be able to use the paint brushes that come with it. Like I said, the eco glitter, I didn't know that the regular glitter was bad for the environment. And I took a look at this, and it says, you know, mix with moisturizer and put it on your skin. And, you know, I had to chuckle about this because I used to do this when I was a teenager, and I think it was just to get attention. I put glitter on my face, I put glitter in my hair, all kinds of things, but we won't do that. I'll save you the pain of having me do that. Okay, let's get started. The first thing you need to remember especially when you're working with the hands, is to place the hands far enough apart that the earth will fit inside. You don't want it balancing, you know, like an acrobat. So I made sure that all the circle, all the earth and the peace sign and everything else would fit inside the hands, and I put those in my MISTI. And I went ahead and got out my Arteza colored pencils and my Gamsol, and I colored in everything I could with the colored pencils. And the Gamsol is a miracle worker when it comes to working with this particular medium, because colored pencils, it's difficult to draw or color in without leaving pencil marks, and I'll put it in real close so you can see it here. You can see all my chicken scratchings in here, but when you put Gamsol on this, on the oceans here, all the little lines disappear, and all the scratch marks and scrub marks and erase marks, and you only need a drop or two to do this, and by the time you get finished, it looks like you're a real pro with colored pencils, and all it took was a little bit of Gamsol. But right there, we did a good job in coloring in the earth. And I thought the hands could go just the way they were. Not everybody's hands are perfect, so I didn't make them perfect. When it came time to put this card together, I struggled with what to frame my design with. I wanted it, I didn't want to have anything gaudy, but then again, I didn't want to make it too neutral, so I chose kind of it's not even a sunshine yellow, but it's a yellow, and I thought that would probably complement just about everything on the front of the card. So if we can get this centered, which I have lots of problems with, I can never seem to get it on straight. Now I am using a strong adhesive because I don't want this to come apart in the mail. I'm using Scor-Tape, which is a double-sided adhesive, and the price point is very good for what you get. I've tried a lot of dry adhesives in my time, and this is probably the best all around. A good price, a good product, and it does what it says it will do. All right, let's get this affixed on here. And as I looked at this, I thought, well, it looks a little plain. Let's see if we can't jazz it up a bit. So I put some Wendy Vecchi adhesive on the card, and I used my ever popular jewel picker, and we jazzed this up a little bit. All the products I use on this video, or on all my videos, I have not been paid to use them. They have not been given to me. I have purchased them on my own, and if I recommend them here, then they are worth looking into. Right now I'm putting on some birthday cake sequins from Simon Says Stamp. These are flat sequins, and they give off the light and make it a more interesting card. All right, there we go. And off camera, I went ahead and made a matching envelope, as I always do. There we go. And I didn't think that the envelope needed a whole lot of color. Yeah, this would be a very, very good card for a nature lover. Okay, on to project number 2. All right, project number 2 is going to be a masculine card. And I know this looks like a real mess, and that's because I've been experimenting with all of my distress sprays, and yes, this is upside down. But this is a distress spray from Tim Holtz, and it is highly recommended to do this in a box because the spray goes everywhere. So here is the top of my card, the design portion of my card. And I'm going to take the spray, cover up the part of the card that I don't need distress spray on. As far as spraying goes, the closer you get the nozzle to the cardstock, the more intense it will get. The higher up off of the cardstock, you'll get less intensity. In this case, I want it to look like soil, so I got down close and sprayed. It's better to spray just a little and look at it than spray a whole lot and ruin your project. All right. One last word of advice with the distress sprays. I'm having trouble with that word today. Let the spray dry. Give it just 2 or 3 minutes. And because if you grab it, then it's going to be on your fingers. You'll ruin the project and you won't be happy with yourself. So, all right. I put my cardstock in my MISTI and I started in the middle. I took a tree and I put it right in the middle of the card. This is a little bit like, laying a tile floor. If you've ever watched anybody do that, they start in the middle, and that's the focal point, and then they work their way out. That way things look even and eye-pleasing. I am making this card for a young man who will be graduating in May, and I believe his degree is environmental engineering. He has a job secured with the U.S. Forestry Service, and he's very excited. So I thought that this tree would, or these line of trees would be a masculine card for him. Not too much color and no bows and no flowers and all that other kind of stuff. This will be a graduation card, and of all the verbiage in this kit, I thought the most appropriate for somebody graduating was the wishing you an abundance of happiness. I wanted to stay away from the typical, graduation cards like congrats and way to go and people cheering and things like that. I just wanted him to be happy where he's going. All right, we're all done stamping. I said at the beginning of the video that I was going to use this twine, and I think this is probably appropriate. The card just looks a little bare, and he doesn't need sequins, and he doesn't need all that kind of jazz. So I'm going to put this on here, and I'll show you how I affix the anti-string or ribbon or twine to my cards. Everybody has something, a way that's a little bit different. What I've done here is I've put the double-sided tape down towards the bottom. If I can get this off, we can go ahead. There we go. And what I do is I just stick a small amount of twine to the back, and I wrap it around, making sure not to fold the card, and then do the same thing to the other side. And that way it stays well, and it won't come undone. Since I will be hand delivering this card, I'm not really worried about how thick or thin the twine is. Sometimes if the ribbon or whatever you have wrapped around your card is too thick, you might want to consider a padded envelope, especially if you have like buttons on it. The processing machines at the post office can be rather rough on cards, and I've tried to put please hand stamp, and sometimes they still don't make it. I guess what I'm trying to say as far as mailing these embellished cards is use your best judgment. And if you don't think it's going to make it, you're better off putting it in a padded envelope or hand carrying it. All right, let's finish this bad boy off. Glue this to my card base. And I think I'm not going to tie a bow. I'm going to tie a knot. And this gentleman was a Eagle Scout, and he knew all about knots, and he'll probably be very disappointed. The one I tied. I did run out of glue dots. I usually put just a tiny, tiny glue dot underneath the bow or whatever I'm adding to my card, and I had to go with the double-sided tape this time. And there we go. Okay. Trim the ends. Voila! One graduation card about 5 months in advance. I like to plan ahead. And as usual, I made a matching envelope. And I hope he will be very happy. Okay, we're finished with this, and we are on to project number 3. All right, now on to project number 3. In my MISTI, I have stamped 5 images, the tree, and I've turned the bird into a robin, protect the earth, the koi fish, and the earth itself. And I did these with my Copics this time. And I have taped to my work surface a piece of Canson watercolor paper. I'm starting out on this watercolor paper. It's dry. I haven't added anything to it. I haven't treated it with gesso or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is, for lack of a better term, I'm going to take the ink pad that came in the kit and I'm going to drag it across the watercolor paper. And it's not quite large enough, so I'm going to do some makeshift coloring here and see how it turns out. Well, that's not too bad. Experimented with this technique several different ways. I just used plain cardstock and added water, and that didn't work. And then I used a piece of watercolor paper, and I really soaked it. I soaked the paper, and when I ran the ink pad over the paper, it was a muddy mess. So this was the technique that I liked. I am going to add some water here to soften up the lines and cool down the colors. So as this dries, we will be back. Okay, now it has dried, and it's time to take the purple tape off. This is always the fun part, to see how well the tape worked, to make sure it didn't bleed through anywhere. But I am going to have to cut this cardstock down. It's I'm making this into a 5x7 card. We're using the Mother Earth image, and she's a big girl. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down, and we'll put it in my MISTI. I really wasn't sure how this was going to turn out. As you can see, I tried to stamp Mother Earth. I used intense black ink, and she just wasn't showing up. So I'm calling in reinforcements. I'm going to be using Versamark ink, which is a very sticky ink, and it dries slowly. And I'm going to stamp this twice. This particular Canson watercolor paper has a lot of texture to it, and I should have remembered that before I started inking it up, and found that out the hard way. But I'm putting on the second coat of Versamark, and then I'm doing something that I don't like to do, but this is absolutely necessary to see this image. I'm going to go ahead and put black embossing powder on this, and I'm hoping that by doing this Mother Earth will show up much better. I don't like black embossing powder for the simple reason that it just doesn't come out of surfaces like the white and the clear. It's like it's almost like coal. It gets ground into surfaces and you just can't get it out. Mother Earth looks pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and hit this with my heat tool after I take care of the embossing powder. I always use a coffee filter. That's the best way to keep things corralled. When you're embossing on watercolor paper, especially what I have here that's very textured, you're going to have to use quite a bit of heat to get everything melted. And so get your heat tool good and hot and keep the nozzle moving. All right, and the way I always check to make sure all the powder is melted is if the entire image is shining, and then you know you've done a good job. Embossing the card was the hardest part of putting this whole thing together. I'm going to go ahead and affix this to my card base, making sure it's centered. There we go. Now I need to apologize here. I bumped my camera and I didn't realize how far up on the screen this was. So there's going to be some parts of this that you won't be able to see, but at the end of the video there will be, you'll be able to see the whole thing. I wanted Mother Earth to be holding the earth with all the options that I had. I thought that was the most appropriate. I did a little research on Mother Earth, and in Greek mythology her name is Gaia, and according to legend, Gaia gave birth to all the protectors of the earth. Like Poseidon is the protector of the oceans. Artemis is protective of animals, and of course Flora is protector of all the plants. I would like very much to thank you for spending time with me, and so that I can share my passion for rubber stamping and making cards. You'll be able to find more information about the products and procedures in this video on my blog, wrappingwithjan.com. Please subscribe to my channel and give me thumbs up. And I want to wish everybody a very happy New Year.